China's May Day holiday turns into a disaster, overpriced services, scams, and a collapsing tourism sector. The May 1st holiday in China, traditionally seen as a golden opportunity for travel and consumption stimulation, has become the focus of public criticism due to unreasonable price hikes, poor quality services, and widespread tourist scams.
During a trip to a tourist destination in China, a passenger became embroiled in a heated dispute with a taxi driver over an exorbitant fare. The passenger noticed the driver was not using the meter and questioned the demand for 200 yuan, pointing out that the route was less than 10 kilometers. The driver explained that meters were not used during the holiday period and insisted the fare was standard, noting that the meter was off. The passenger argued that the high fare should have been disclosed before the journey began, especially since they were now far from the starting point. Frustrated, the driver suggested the passenger could walk if dissatisfied, emphasizing that securing a taxi during the holiday was already fortunate. The passenger challenged the driver's intentions, highlighting their predicament at a remote service area with no other transport options. The driver pressed the passenger to decide whether to continue the trip. Reluctantly, the passenger agreed to pay but expressed discontent with the widespread price hikes during holidays and the driver's approach. The driver maintained that such pricing was a local norm and that outsiders needed to adapt to these rules. At a tourist destination, a tour guide aggressively demands that passengers spend money upon arrival. Hold on, once we get to the scenic area, everyone get off the bus. You need to spend 2,000 yuan at the foot of the mountain. I respect you, so you respect me, got it? I don't care who you are or where you're from, none of that matters here. You listen to me. Whether you top up a card or buy something, if anyone doesn't spend 2,000 yuan, this bus isn't leaving today. Hear me loud and clear? At a tourist destination, a visitor expressed frustration after purchasing a product that turned out to be misleadingly packaged. The visitor complimented on their appearance, was urged not to record the incident but proceeded to reveal the deception to others. They had bought an item for 19.9 yuan, expecting something substantial, but found it consisted of only a thin layer inside a thick box. I wouldn't even stay here. During this May Day holiday, a rundown room without even a toilet costs 300 yuan, and yet so many people are scrambling to book it. What a miserable experience. I regretted it the moment I arrived. This time, there's truly no way out. Think about how nice it would be to stay at a friend's place, spending money just to suffer. The front door smells of sweat. The back door reeks. There's nowhere clean to relieve yourself. Legs wobbling from exhaustion, money all spent, and you return home utterly drained. The May Day holiday crowds have really torn off the mask of some people. The greed of scenic area bosses is just too ugly. In their eyes, tourists coming during May Day aren't people, they're pigs waiting to be slaughtered. A bottle of mineral water that costs 2 yuan outside is sold for 10 yuan at the scenic area. A meal worth a few hundred yuan outside costs thousands here. Even dried fruits worth a few dozen yuan are sold for 9,800 yuan at a Xinjiang scenic spot. After buying tickets, tourists still have to pay extra for special activities. The way these scenic areas make money is faster than a printing press. In recent years, with China's economy struggling and consumption downgrading, people have come up with various budget travel methods. Online, there's a buzz about overcrowded attractions and chaotic management, with tourists complaining about being ripped off and encountering traps everywhere. Authorities claim that the holiday saw an estimated 14.2 billion cross-regional trips, with hotels fully booked, but industry insiders question the accuracy of these figures. Major scenic areas are hiking prices and exploiting tourists, prompting many to post videos complaining. Sisters, Wanxing Mountain is nice, but I won't come back next time. I've never been scammed this badly. In Fangshan, a decent seafood meal usually costs 200 yuan, but last night, they charged me 1,500 yuan for a table. Oxygen tanks that cost 10 yuan elsewhere were sold for 39 yuan, and they forced each person to buy 3 to 4 tanks. A bottle of oral medicine was 58 yuan, and they demanded we buy 4 bottles, saying we couldn't board the bus without drinking it. They even threatened that if we didn't use their cable cars or electric shuttles, they wouldn't be responsible for altitude sickness or accidents. When we got there, there was nothing to see. The so-called Moon Valley was just a small stream. The promotional photos were dazzling, but the reality was utterly disappointing. I didn't even bother taking pictures. This was the worst trip I've ever been cheated on.
Many Chinese citizens have returned from trips to share their disappointing experiences, painting a grim picture of the travel industry, a reflection of economic hardship and declining trust in tourism. At various tourist destinations, travelers frequently encountered aggressive tactics forcing them to spend money. In one case, a tour guide demanded each person spend 2,000 yuan on shopping or prepaid cards, or else the bus wouldn't depart, making tourists feel like they were being extorted. Products were sold at outrageous prices, such as a 19.9 yuan item with poor quality and just a thin layer of content inside a thick box. At Mount Lo, visitors paid 160 yuan for entry and 90 yuan for a sightseeing bus, only to see a small stream rather than the advertised three-step waterfall, causing deep disappointment. Similarly, in Fangshan, a 10 yuan oxygen canister was sold for 39 yuan, and a medicinal drink costing 58 yuan was forced on tourists, requiring multiple purchases. These scams made tourists feel like prey rather than valued customers. Service prices also skyrocketed during the holiday. One tourist complained about guest house prices in Jingdezhen jumping from 50-60 yuan per night to 500-600 yuan, despite poor conditions and no toilet. In Wanshan Mountain, hotel rooms cost up to 861 yuan per night, yet the tourist area was so overcrowded it was impossible to enjoy. A bowl of Guangxi noodles sold for 28 yuan in a tourist zone despite poor quality, which even angered locals. In another case, a seafood meal in Fangshan was charged at 1/500 yuan, several times the normal price. These inflated prices not only frustrated travelers, but made them feel like the holiday had turned into a time to suffer while spending money. Hotel services were also a source of frustration. A tourist who had booked a room 1 month in advance was told upon arrival that no rooms were available. The hotel staff then offered to upgrade them to a standard room for an extra 700 yuan, even though the original booking was for a standard room. This left travelers feeling cheated, especially after traveling thousands of kilometers to get there. Similarly, in Lianyonggang, visitors who had chosen an off-the-beaten-path location to avoid crowds still had to queue for everything: parking, meals, and even photos. A trip to Huaguo Mountain turned into a continuous lineup, with 2-hour waits at each attraction, leaving tourists exhausted and disillusioned. According to China's Ministry of Transport, the May Day holiday in 2025 recorded approximately 1.467 billion inter-regional trips, an 8% increase from the previous year, with civil aviation traffic rising by 11.8%. However, tourism experts questioned the accuracy of this data, suggesting the figures likely count both departure and return trips. A local hotel owner revealed that revenues had not increased. In fact, they declined compared to last year, contradicting the official growth statistics. This highlights a major gap between official reports and the real situation at tourism sites. These negative experiences not only reflect poor management at tourist destinations, but also expose the over-reliance on national holidays to harvest profits. Many tourists described the May 1st break as a wage-cutting machine for the working class, where hard-earned savings were spent on overpriced and low-quality services. Some observers argued that tourism promotion policies, such as overly enthusiastic social media advertising, had created a herd mentality, luring people into trips without considering the costs and risks. Amid an economic downturn and a growing trend of budget travel, such exploitive practices and subpar services are driving people away from domestic tourism, calling for serious reforms to restore public confidence in the industry. Major international airports in China, once symbols of development and global connectivity, are now facing an alarming state of desolation.
Everyone, look at this. This is Pudong Airport and there's not a single soul around. It's already evening. It should be packed with people queuing for check-in. Who would have thought? This whole area is completely deserted, with only a handful of people scattered far in the distance, maybe 20 or 30 at most. The economy this year is truly awful. A massive airport like this feels like a wasteland, so bleak. Think back to how it used to be bustling with travelers, duty-free shops brightly lit, and customers shopping lively. Now look, all the shops are shuttered, no trace of life left. It's as if the entire airport has turned into a ghost town, and it breaks my heart to see it. My gosh. Looking at the international departure area makes me want to cry. It's completely empty. Not a single customer in sight. Back in the day, this place was so crowded that people lined up forever, and we were swamped ringing up sales, running back and forth. Now, it's just a staff standing around, yawning with no one stopping to shop. The whole row of duty-free shops over there is closed, looking like a graveyard. The economy is so tough now, who can afford to travel abroad anymore? Compared to before, it's night and day back then. This airport was a point of pride, always buzzing. Seeing it like this now, the economic environment is clearly terrible. I don't know when things will return to normal, but at this rate, I doubt I can stay here much longer. Good heavens, what kind of international airport is this? It's 11:20 p.m. on a weekend, and there's not a single flight or passenger around. The international terminal over there closed earlier this evening, completely dark, like it's out of service. I'm sitting here bored to death. Not even a pretty face passing by to lift my spirits. An airport like this feels like an abandoned city, without a shred of life. China's economy is really plummeting fast. It was never like this before. Back then, airports were always crowded, with people coming and going and boarding announcements echoing nonstop. Now look, this vast space is so quiet you can hear your own footsteps. If things keep going like this, who knows when airports will be busy again? Right now, it's just too desolate. A female flight attendant from Happy Air shared. Wages still haven't been paid, and Happy Air just announced a suspension of all flights for the May Day holiday. I'm still an active employee, but for 4 years, there have been no flights, no stable income, and no basic social insurance. I've had to take on various odd jobs to support my family. My youth has been wasted, and my passion for flying has gradually faded. A pilot from Happy Air confirmed. I'm a frontline pilot for the airline. For the past 3 years, I've had no income and no social insurance. I've resorted to delivery and selling goods at the market to cover living expenses. My kids can't afford school fees, and the elderly can't buy medicine. Families like mine have been shattered countless times. A female flight attendant who now live streams selling cars said, I used to be a flight attendant but have switched to another industry. But every sector is struggling now. Restaurants, education, even fruit vendors are reporting losses. I just want to ask, in 2025, is there any industry that isn't in crisis? Another flight attendant, who flew for 6 years but decided to quit, shared, the flight attendant job seems glamorous. Traveling to many places for free, but it's just superficial. Even in a Tier 2 city, there are 5 airlines competing. A single complaint can lead to fines or a flight ban. I quit because so many of my colleagues did too. Now, on flights, colleagues often talk about, who quit today? What do they do after quitting? Can they survive?
According to a report from the Airports Council International, ACI World, global passenger traffic in 2024 reached approximately 9.5 billion, a 9% increase from 2023 and 3.8% higher than pre-pandemic levels in 2019. However, recovery in China has been uneven. Shanghai Pudong Airport handled 76.79 million passengers in 2024, surpassing 2019 figures. But this was largely driven by domestic travelers, with international passengers only reaching just over 30 million, still below full recovery. Beijing Capital Airport processed 67.36 million passengers, a 47% decrease from 2019, partly due to traffic diversion to Beijing Daxing Airport, which recorded 39.47 million passengers. Other airports such as Dalian Zhoushi Zhujizi, Xi'an Jiangyong, and Urumqi Diwopu face similar situations, with international terminals often closing early in the evening. Videos shared by netizens show major airports like Shanghai Hongqiao and Pudong nearly devoid of passengers, in stark contrast to the vibrancy of international airports like Suvarnabhumi in Thailand or Narita in Japan. China's aviation industry is grappling with a severe crisis. According to the International Air Transport Association (IATA), Global international passenger traffic in 2024 grew by 10.4% compared to 2023, but in the Asia-Pacific region, international passenger numbers remained 8.7% below 2019 levels, with China among the slowest to recover. China's three major state-owned airlines have reported losses for 5 consecutive years, reflecting the industry's financial struggles. Happy Air, a carrier primarily operating domestic flights, canceled all flights before the May Day holiday due to 9 months of unpaid wages. Many pilots and flight attendants have resorted to jobs like food delivery, street vending, or live streaming to make ends meet. A pilot from the airline shared that he hasn't flown in 4 years, has no steady income or social insurance, and has taken on multiple side jobs to support his family. He described the airline as a critically ill patient in the ICU, unable to live or die. The airline has ceased operations entirely, leaving numerous questions about employee rights unresolved. China's business environment is deteriorating, leading to significant foreign capital withdrawal. According to the Council on Foreign Relations, since 2007, Chinese entities have invested in 60 overseas airport projects but hold equity in only one, indicating limited global influence expansion. The exodus of foreign capital from China has reduced the number of international business travelers, contributing to the decline in international passenger traffic at airports. Despite the Chinese government expanding visa-free policies, Western tourists remain uninterested. ACI notes that emerging markets like Indonesia and Thailand are projected to rank among the top 10 passenger markets by 2042, while China, the second largest market in 2023, struggles to attract international visitors. Netizens point out barriers such as lack of internet access, inability to use WeChat for payments, absence of Google Maps, and stringent requirements like registering with local police within 24 hours of entry, which deter foreign visitors. The emptiness of airports coincides with a notable decline in the presence of foreigners in major cities like Shanghai. Many recall that a few years ago, areas like People's Square, Nanjing Road, and Luyezui in Shanghai were bustling with foreigners. Now, spotting a foreigner on the streets is rare. A netizen shared that in 2018, Shanghai subway cars were often packed with foreigners, but that scene has completely changed. Strict pandemic controls and recent restrictive policies have driven foreigners away, with many not returning. This situation reflects a broader economic downturn in China. Indicators of economic vitality, people, goods, and capital flows, are all declining. ACI forecasts global passenger traffic to reach 9.9 billion in 2025, a 4.8% increase from 2024. But China's recovery hinges on easing barriers for international visitors and improving the business environment. China's aviation and international tourism sectors urgently need bold solutions to regain their former prominence.